I spent 3 years building clean, well-documented Python apps. 0 clients who paid more than $2,000. Then someone asked me if I knew anything about Modbus protocols. I said yes. I didn't know anything. That lie took me 2 weeks to learn, and it was the highest paying project I had ever signed. I didn't change my stack. I didn't learn a new language. I didn't rebuild my portfolio. I just learned to talk to machines instead of users. And I discovered that machines pay much better.
Here is what the Python developer market actually looks like right now. On one side, millions of developers building web apps, dashboards, automation scripts, and SaaS tools, all using the same tutorials, all competing for the same clients, all racing to the bottom on price. On the other side, an industrial sector that runs on Python and has almost no one who can actually build for it. We are talking about manufacturing plants, water treatment facilities, power grids, pharmaceutical production lines. Every single one of those facilities runs on software, monitoring systems, data loggers, alert pipelines, visualization dashboards. And most of that software is 20 years old, running on a machine nobody is allowed to touch because the last person who understood it retired in 2019. That is your competition, Windows XP and a retired engineer. According to LNS Research's manufacturing workforce data, over 50% of industrial automation engineers are above age 45. The majority will retire within the next decade. They are not being replaced fast enough. The gap they leave behind is not a gap in talent. It is a gap between the physical world, machines, sensors, valves, motors, and the software layer that is supposed to make sense of all of it. I call it the physical gap. And right now, almost nobody in your developer cohort is trying to cross it. Before I show you how to cross it, let me tell you about someone who crossed it by accident.
A developer, I will call him Marco, was doing freelance Django work. Mid-level, making maybe $60,000, $70,000 a year if he pushed hard. A friend connected him to a fish processing plant in the Pacific Northwest. They needed someone to fix a temperature monitoring script. Small job, maybe $1,000. Marco had never heard of OPC-UA. He had never worked with industrial sensors. He showed up anyway. 3 weeks later, he had replaced their legacy monitoring system with a Python dashboard that pulled live data from 43 sensors, triggered SMS alerts for temperature deviations, and logged everything to a time series database. The plant manager asked what he charged for that kind of work. Marco had no idea. He said $60,000, expecting to be laughed out of the room. The manager said, "Can you start Monday?" Marco is not exceptional. He is not a genius. He just walked through a door that almost no one else was standing near. That door is still open.
SCADA, Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition. It sounds intimidating. It is not. Strip away the acronym and here is what SCADA actually means. Software that watches machines, collects their data, and tells humans, or other software, what is happening. That is it. At its core, SCADA is a data pipeline with a physical input instead of a database or an API. And Python is extraordinarily well suited for this. You already know how to build data pipelines. You already know how to build dashboards. You already know how to handle asynchronous events and write alert logic. The only new piece is the protocol layer, the language your code speaks to talk to a machine instead of a web server. Modbus is the oldest and most common. It is simpler than most web APIs you've already used. A register map, read and write commands, a TCP connection. That's the whole protocol. OPC-UA is more modern, more structured, and increasingly dominant in new installations. It has better security and better data modeling. You do not need to master both on day one. You need to understand one well enough to be dangerous. And here's the thing about industrial clients. They do not care which protocol you use. They care whether their system goes down. Because when it goes down, it's not a bug ticket. It's a production line stopped. It's product being destroyed. It's a shift manager calling someone at 3 in the morning. According to Siemens Manufacturing Cost Research, unplanned downtime in industrial operations costs an average of $260,000 per hour. That's the environment you're building for, not a user who closes a tab, a production line that cannot afford to stop. That difference in stakes is exactly why the rates are different.
There is a question I want to answer right now because it stops most developers before they even start. Do you need to touch real hardware to learn this? The answer is completely counterintuitive. No, and also kind of yes, but not in the way you think. You start entirely in software. Modbus simulators exist. OKC UA test servers exist. You could run a full industrial stock on your laptop today for free without owning a single sensor. Tools like ModRS Sim 2, the Process OPC UA simulation server, and Factory I/O let you simulate sensors, motors, and PLCs. You write real protocol code. You handle real data structures. The only thing missing is the physical device. And here's why that matters less than you think. The hard part of industrial Python is not the hardware. Crossing the physical gap is not about buying hardware. It is about understanding what the data means, building reliable polling loops, handling connection failures gracefully, and structuring your time series storage correctly. All of that is pure software. All of that you can learn on a laptop. Once you have done this in software, moving to real hardware is straightforward. A Raspberry Pi unit with a few cheap sensors costs under $100 and gives you a physical test bed, but it is not required to get your first contract. Most clients do not ask to see your physical test bed. They ask to see your dashboard. They ask to see your data handling. They ask whether you understand their problem. Understanding the problem is the actual credential. This is also why developers who understand this space are not threatened by AI. And AI tools, when you know how to integrate them into these systems rather than let them replace you, become force multipliers. Anomaly detection on sensor streams, predictive maintenance models, natural language interfaces for non-technical operators. You are not competing with AI in this space. You are the person who knows how to put AI where it belongs.
That Modbus contract I mentioned at the beginning, let me tell you what happened next. The first engagement, I charged hourly. I did not know better. I tracked my hours, sent invoices, and felt grateful for every one of them. When the project wrapped, I had billed roughly $9,000 over 7 weeks. The client had a working monitoring dashboard. I had a story to tell. A few months later, the same client called. They wanted to expand the system. 3 more production lines, automated alerts, integration with their ERP. They asked for a quote. This time, I did not quote hours. I had spent enough time in their plant by then to understand what unplanned downtime actually cost them. I understood what broken looked like, not just technically, but financially. I quoted $47,000 fixed price. They came back the next day. No negotiation. The work was not dramatically more complex than Phase 1. The difference was that I had stopped selling code and started selling operational certainty. They were not paying for my Python. They were paying to not be the operations director standing in a stopped plant at 2 in the morning trying to explain to his CEO why nobody saw it coming. Now let me give you the actual numbers. Entry-level SCADA project. Monitoring dashboard, 1 to 2 PLCs. Fixed price, $8,000 to $18,000. Timeline, 3 to 6 weeks. Mid-tier system, multi-site monitoring, alerting, data historian. Fixed price, $25,000 to $60,000. Timeline, 6 to 16 weeks. Enterprise retrofit, full legacy replacement, integration, training. Fixed price, $80,000 to $200,000 and up. Timeline, 3 to 9 months. These are not theoretical. These are the ranges you will find in industrial consulting proposals from independent developers and small shops.
The reason you can charge this is not because the Python is complicated, it's because the cost of failure is enormous, the talent pool is thin, and the client is buying insurance as much as they are buying software. When a client is staring at that number, $260,000 per hour of downtime, your $47,000 proposal is not expensive, it's cheap. That is the pricing conversation in this niche. Not how much is your code worth, but how much does broken cost. Remember the bridge I mentioned at the beginning, the physical gap between machines and software? Here is how you cross it. 5 steps, concrete, ordered, no fluff. Step 1, learn one protocol deeply. Pick Modbus because it is the simplest and it is everywhere. Spend 2 weeks with Modbus and a simulator. Read register maps, understand coils and holding registers. Write a polar from scratch. Step 2, build your local stock. MRIS Sim2 or similar simulator. InfluxDB for time series storage. Grafana for visualization. Run it all locally. Build a fake temperature monitoring system. Make it work reliably before you show it to anyone. Step 3. Document one real use case. Pick one industrial scenario, a pump station, a cold storage facility, a conveyor belt. Research how that system actually works. What sensors does it use? What does failure look like? What does the operator need to see? Then build that scenario on your simulator. Step 4. Create a one-page capability statement. Not a portfolio website, not a GitHub repo. A one-page document. What problem you solve, how you solve it, sample engagement, investment range. Not I build Python dashboards, but I eliminate unplanned downtime for mid-size manufacturers. Step 5. Find your first client. LinkedIn. Search for operations managers, plant managers, and maintenance directors at manufacturing companies with under 500 employees, small enough to move fast, large enough to have a real budget. Send a message referencing a specific operational problem, not your skills, their problem. You do not need to mention SCADA, you need to mention their problem. I work with manufacturers who are losing production time to legacy monitoring systems, opens more doors than any technical credential. The moat you are building is not technical, it is positional. Every developer who crosses the physical gap makes it slightly harder for the next one to compete, because clients in this space run on relationships and track records, not on the lowest bid. I want to be straight with you about something. I took longer than I should have to understand that the problem was not my code. My code was fine. The problem was that I was building things correctly in the wrong market. That is the most expensive mistake you can make as a developer. Not a technical mistake, not an execution mistake. Direction. 6 months after that first Modbus contract, the client called me back. Not for a new project. The dashboard I'd built had stopped responding at 2 a.m. No error, no alert. The browser process had just died. When I checked the heap, the leak had been there since day 1. Silent, invisible, accumulating every time an operator left the tab open between shifts. That is how I learned that getting into this market is only half the problem. The industrial client you just imagined, the one who might pay you $60,000 for a monitoring system, that client is going to use your dashboard in a browser. And the most expensive technical problem in industrial monitoring web apps is not the communication protocol. It is not the database design. It is not even uptime. It is memory. Dashboards that run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, silently accumulate heap until they crash at 2 in the morning, on the night shift, when nobody is watching. And the worst part, in virtually every SPA audit I've seen on long-running dashboards, the leak was already there. It was invisible. Nobody noticed until something went dark. The next video is called Your React App is Leaking Memory and You Can't See It. If you are building the kind of dashboards I just described, the ones that stay open for days, this is not optional viewing. It is a